Welcome to the 4D 2020. The subject I will speak about is hierarchical list, the beginnings of objects management. First of all, let me introduce myself, Patrick Emanuel. I am administrator of the association QualiSoft, located in Lyon, France. I work with 4D since now close to 25 years. I start with the 4D V5 first version on PC, and I switched on Macintosh 10 years ago. But I still work on both platforms. Since the introduction of order and collection, I moved forward, but my knowledge on hierarchical list was very poor. So I work a lot on my tool, QS Toolbox, with the hierarchical list, and we have to understand what it is. So, at the beginning of the hierarchical list, there is data. And normally, data has to be used to improve your data, to improve your business, but also to be shown. To move forward, I will propose you to move directly to the demonstration of the database created specially for this event, and to explain you the code to understand how to build step by step a hierarchical list. So the database created specially for the event shows how to build step by step, and after that it will be deep for you to move forward to explore more capabilities. In the 4D world, we speak a lot about listbox, but we don't have to forget that hierarchical lists were there before list boxes, and they are a very powerful widget for the developer. So, I will explain to you how to use this database as example. You will find some tricks. I hope that we get values for that. And the first things I will show you the dataset used for the example. So it's a list of countries with 241 countries with 17 columns. So 17 kind of information. For each of them, I propose to you to go deeply in the code, which is more interesting for you. But first of all, we have to understand how to build the information. For that, I use collection, and we have to use collection. It is more simple. So, we create a new collection and we declare it as by C_collection countries dot double point equal new collection. So we assign a new collection. Countries, I will say a collection is ref counted. So, and you have to understand the concept of ref counting. Until you don't go to 0, your information exists in memory. So it's like an address in memory. So we assign a variable coming from $1, and then we create a new object. By default, if I don't pass a second parameter, I will use this file, paste.xml. This file is located on the resource folder, xml_files, and then the file name. Using sax command to get information, we get the attribute names and the values for each attribute. We will read the information. We start at the first element, and until we don't arrive to the end of the XML file, we loop. We continue to read. and we push the information read to the collection. At the end, we close the document. This will create the data used for our essay and demonstration. And then the second part of the method is how to display the information inside the list box first. So we create an object, we assign the collection just created to a parameter called all countries, and we open the form window and we get the dialog. So if we move to the dialog, it is an empty, it is a list box called form all countries. So when we pass through information, we don't have to declare anything else. And on the form method, we just built by default using this method this information and the list box name. We built by a generic a way to create and add column based on the information content inside the collection. So it's a good way and an easy way to create different collection, different list box based on collections. After that, we are able to work on the name and then to apply some different parameters and so on. Here just to set 2 lines for the method name, for the header. That's it. So we will apply this kind of rules for all methods, all dialogues. Now, hierarchical list. We saw the data set. Now we just create the first list. So this is a hierarchical list. I can click on it, just select. That's it. How to build it? We move back, move to the method, tester 1. Here we got exactly the same information to create and get information about countries. We create an object to this object will be assigned to the dialog. And here the trick is we get the last char, the 2 last chars, and assign them to the create to a parameter called test. And the parameter will be create LH and the last chars. That means we pass information to the dialog using the object. Here, create LH_01. What happens when I will use this? I will use a form method. I will declare my LH, which is the variable containing my hierarchical list. I will clear it and I call the timer. That means at the end of this execution, I display my hierarchical list. And then the timer starts down. So the first thing to do is to set it to 0. Otherwise, you will loop and you will never end. I declare $to_execute as text. I assign the form.text to this variable and I execute method called toExecute. I have to pass through this variable because execute method is not able to interpret correctly form.text. That is the only purpose. And when I will quit the dialog, I have to clear the list of memory. Otherwise, you will be in trouble by creating a memory leaks. So just before calling the clear list command, the good thing to do is to test if your variable is a real list. What happened on this method? On this method, I will set the title of my dialog, create a new list, and create a counter. Then for all information containing in all countries, just to remind you, all countries is all information of my collection, I will loop using the for each command function. And everything will be set in command. I increase the counter, I append to the list the name of the country in French, and assign a counter information. I could be able to use also the command insert in list, and the syntax in this case is this one. So insert in list, the list, star, the name, and the counter. Then we will assign the list to the variable created on the form on load step. So we got the list, we clear the list, we already created. We copy the temporary variable into the my underscore list, LH. I clear the temporary variable, and then we set information is type choice list, is not enterable, and then we set properties. So the two first information are obsolete. The next one is the size of the line. The next one is no double click, and the next one is no multi-selection, and the next one is editable. And that's it. And just to show you that if in case we have $list existing, so if we remove here, we will go and trace just to see the impact of the $list. So moving back to the demonstration, we just see how to add a line. Just to remind you, the line is just created by this information. What we can do now is going just by trace. So we'll just go back here. So you will see I create my list. I set processing data because I have no idea how many times it will take. I will assign the title. Sorry. So the title is set. I create an object. I create a list. It is a reference. There is nothing else inside. I create a counter. I will just remove some information. What you can do also is to enter form. Here, it allows you to know what you have inside. So form.test is create LH01. And here I have all information regarding my countries. So the length of all countries 241 and all information here. Country by country. And we have also the command, which is currently null. And as soon as I start to enter on the for each loop, I assign to the command, which is an object, with the property adjective, with Afghan, alpha2 AF, alpha3 AFG, article I, classmate echo PMA, and so on. So we will loop and we will append to the list, and just to show you, nothing changed in the list. It's a location in memory. So at the end of the loop, we are still with the previous list. So we will assign the list. The first thing I will do is to clear the list. I copy the new list. I clear the temporary list. I set preferences of the list. $list does not exist anymore because I clear it. And that's it. And we got the list. So this is how it works. For the next demonstration, I will just explain the differences regarding this. So the second example is still the list, and I assign a picture based on the first characters. How it works? If you have a look, it is exactly the same code here. I didn't change anything, so tester 1 and tester 2 are exactly the same code. What changed is in create LH02. In create LH02, I declare as variable the property used. That gives me the possibility and the capability to change the target of the title. We'll use it later. By default, I set the letter as underscore. It's just to detect if the first character changed or not. And first character should not be underscore, of course, on your list. I will get the picture located in the resource folder, images, k underscore plus the letter kept. So in this case, it should be image k underscore underscore dot png. And again, a counter. I will order my collection, but because I have no doubt this collection could be unsorted. So I have to order it first at all. So this is why I use collection. And the column, sorry. And column plus IC is for ascendant, or DESC for the other sense. And then I will loop exactly as previously. So I will add a test if the first command, so if the first letter of non underscore fr is different of the letter, which is underscore, and counter equal 1, it is my exception case. Then I will attach the letter. I will just track capitals with accent, just to correct it. So if I get an accent, I remove the accent for the E and I. Then I get the picture, and after all, I add 1 to my counter. I append to the list the item, and I will attach, and this is a new command, the icon to the latest element added to the list. So this command, you have to read it. I attach to the list, to the latest command, this picture, or I attach the picture to the latest command to the list. You can read it in the both sense. And that's it. And here you assign the final list to your list in variable. So nothing particular. This notation is very important because it's allow you to use a bracket using another variable, and this notation is for string characters to go directly to the characters. You could also write something like substring of 11. It's up to you. So just to do it quickly, which add the column name, the letter, and the form collection. We are sure now that the collection is sorted. B, C, D, and you see here you get Emira Arabs Uni, which is in French, so you will get an accent. This is why I have to update the first letter, and I will loop. So just for you, I will get exactly the $command dot, just moving back, sorry, dot no underscore FRR. I can write it also. It is exactly the same. And there you will get the letter, the first letter, which is A. It is exactly the same if you write substring, which is $command dot no fr 11. A. You will get exactly the same information. Another way to work with it. And you loop. I get the new picture, so it's just a way to read it quickly. I append to the list and I attach it, and I will repeat it, and so on and so on. This is about the second example. Now, about the third example. Exactly the same, except I reduce the list to the first letter, and then I add the information as a sublist for each letter. So it's like an alphabetic sort, an alphabetic tree. How to do that? You close Windows. So this is the 3. You can see exactly the same code that the 1 and 2. So just move to the 3. So we found again the same information here about the letter and the column and so on. And by default, I will just create a new list, a new sublist that I will attach at each element. So this is a new information for the append to list. So I continue to attach to the list the letter, the counter, a sublist, and files. This will create the group until I am still on the same ladder. If not, so it is not a new sublist, I increment the dollar counter LH and I append to the sublist the name of the country with the counter. That's it. So the trick here is when I change the letter, I create a sublist, I append to the list the sublist with the letter information, and I don't attach anymore country's name to the main list, but to the sublist created just before. This is the trick. Now we will move to the fourth example. Exactly the same, but now we know how many countries we have in each tree. So, how to do that? Same thing. If we have a look here, some information. Everything is based on the create LH. So, we don't change anything here. We set the information of the string how many. Where do we work with the how many? So we set the how many to 1. This is the initialization case. We set it to 0 when we loop again for a new country, and when we attach for the new sublist, we set the information how many. So that means we will update this information when we change the letter. So when we change the letter, we attach to the list with the particular parameter additional text. This parameter is a constant, and it allows you to attach text on the right part of your hierarchical list. That's it. Then for the fifth example, we have exactly the same, and now we add some more information to the second list. So that means we have a main list. For in each letter we create a sublist for each country, and each country contains also sub information, so a new sublist, and we attach information on the right. So based on that, we are able to complicate or sophisticate a little bit the previous method. So we keep to attach the information here. We still work on the letter. We continue to work with information with the picture, and we create the sublist like previously. Here, for each country, we will create a new sublist. So I call it sublist 2. We attach this sublist to the sublist, the country, the counter, and the sublist 2. And now we will work on the sublist 2. We will attach, so happen to list sublist 2, the first property and the counter. We will set the additional text information of the information here, and we set an icon information. So where do we set the property 1 and the property 2? It just used at the beginning here. I use a column, I didn't change it, and add property 1 as ID and 2 as continent. So this is a way to get more generic code, but still readable. And each time you work with the command append to list or insert to list, you have to increment your counter. Each information has to be unique. And you can have different counter, and this is the case here with the how many, and the how many is a counter of the number of country in each letter. And then you assign LH assignment. That's it. About the sixth example, exactly the same. And here, the thing is, I create the information when I click on it. So if you have a look, there are no the little arrow here letting you that you have a sublist down. You have to click to create it. You can do that for many reasons. First of all, to speed up the creation of your hierarchical list. And secondly, because you don't have to put in memory all this information. So you have it somewhere, and you are able to catch it and pick it and attach it at the last moment. So how do we do that? So on the sixth information, that means the code is very close to the fourth code. It's a copy paste in reality. Where do we work on it? So on the 6th, I'm still on demo LH. So I will go to the demo LH form. Have a look here. And I check if the num of form text equals 6 or upper to 6. In this case, I will execute it, otherwise nothing. So it is the case. I use two properties, surface and domain internet. What I will do, I create array case, array value, collection, countries and comment. It's easier to work on a variable, local variable, so I make a new reference of form.all countries to the country variable. I create picture information. I get the ref item where I click. That means here I will use the widget information. So if I have a look, name is my LH. So I will get information of list item of my LH. The star is to get the selected one. Ref item, text item, sublist information is open or not. I will get also of my LH all information set. Here is the 7 case, so you will not read it right now. And I will execute a collection query. So collection.query column equal 1 the text selected. So I will have a look inside my collection on the selected text. If I found something, that means the length is superior of 0, of null. I got the counter. I append to the list the information. I set the list additional text of the command of the first one and the property. This is why it is important to check if we found one. It could be equal 1. We attach a picture and we repeat it again. So we will do that more deeply. 6. It is the case. I declare everything, all information. I'm not in the case, so I didn't click on something interpretable. So I continue. I will click on Denmark. I'm still on the case. I get the information. Just remove what is not really needed. So ref item 55, text item Denmark, it is this one. I have a sublist, otherwise nothing, and it is false. Item parameters, nothing, nothing. Countless item here is equal to 0. And I didn't find, sorry, here. And I didn't find the ID information. So for sure, I never clicked on it before. So I will have a look on this part of the command. Countries, column equal, it will return 1 information, which should be Danish, Denmark. This is the result. So just remove country, and we can keep command open. If you have a look on the command here, I get the number of line of my counter, and the last star is very important because it will count also hidden information. So hidden list of the full all list and sublist, I would say. So and add 1. So the counter now is equal to 267. Then we will add a new sublist. We will add to the sublist the first property with the counter. Then we will add the parameter additional text, and then we add the picture. We don't have to count again because we already know, so we just add 1 and do the same for the next property. I update my list. So let's list item text ref text item, ref item, sublist, which has been updated here. And I say, okay, open it. And here we go. If we repeat it, again, just remove it. We can do that on all country. Next, seventh, still the same, Denmark, and now the system just let me know if it's odd or not, but doesn't add the information inside the list, but inside a variable. So to do that, we change a little bit, we change the form, so which is the next one, where we see we have many things, but right now it's just working with these three fields. So no variables, just name of widget, alpha2 and population, and that's it. What happens when we click on it? So it is exactly the same code we saw just before. So here the case is 7. We get the titles of properties and we loop, and if the test case is odd, we just add the information, that's it. So just to set 0 or 1 for true and false. The next one, it's just a way to display information if we found or not the property on the keys array, and we check everything and we put it visible or not based on the condition test. Right now, if you are not sure that will return a boolean, you can use also the command bool just before to force to get a bool information at the end. So using now the 7 case, if we have a look at the code, sorry. So we define properties, we put the sample, we create the list, we get pictures, nothing changed, not so far. We will loop on the form all countries, which performs the check on the first letter. We change the letter just in case. We attach to the list the new sublist, and then we loop here. But what we will do, we will add as parameter of the item the property with the information. That means when we click on it, we don't have to go to the collection to search inside the collection and to bring back the information to put and fill the widgets. That means Using this syntax, this command, you attach to a specific item, so here the last one, a property and a value. What is an object today? It is a variable where you can set a property with a value. This is why I call this session hierarchical list, the beginnings of object management. Using this trick, you can just keep few information that you are pretty sure that you will use on your hierarchical list, or you need for any display information to display the information. You can use this trick as an object will do. And as you can see, I add the information, the property is odd, and just to make a numeric, it's a boolean or not. And that's it. So I try also to update and comment as much possible to be clear. Next step. We are still the same. I add specific the flag when I get it, because some are missing. I don't know. Yeah, here for example, ship. The flag, specific flag to each country. So it is exactly the same way that I attach the picture, the letter picture. You can also search for countries containing FA, as example, and you will move from one to the next one by this arrow. So it's a way also, you don't make a selection, you don't recalculate your hierarchical list, because it is another solution to reduce your hierarchical list. So you make a new hierarchical list to reduce it. Or you can switch from one item to another one based on what you select. You can say, okay, I would like to select all odds. So here you get the number. You can, in this screen, to reduce the open one, or extend all, or reduce each one, and so on. So how it works? So just move back to the form. You request. If it's equal to null, you have no selection, so you get a new parameter called indice. You set it to 1 to move to select the first one. You check that you have at least 2 characters, and you just launch the command find in list. To be exhaustive, so contains arrobas, your letters, arrobas. If you want to start by, you remove this one, finish by, you remove this one. And you fill the tab element. And the tab element contains the reference number. And then you select list item by reference based on what you found. If item is superior to 0, upper to null, this is a long it. By default, you find in list select the first one. So you put first indice to 1, and then you move from 1 to 1. We just update the information here. Form found dot length. Because we copy here the array to collection on form.found tab elements. and how many there are. So it's really simple. And for the navigation, you add one and you update. And if it's upper to 0, you apply, and then you check. If the previous, you have to be superior to 1, first superior to 1, next superior to null and inferior to the length, and last inferior to the length and superior to null 2. And that's it. So it's just a way to work with indices and to switch and to move on the next one about the selection. Here, it's a calculation. So I let some code that could be useful. You count, you loop on it, and you select it by reference. That's it. And when you close the list, you start from the end and you go back to the upper, to the start, to the beginning. Next one. Here, you select it, always the same thing. I select and say I could delete an item. When I delete it, I will put star and double star on the ID new, token new. Just surface domain, I will replace it by new. And here you are able also to see information and so on. So how do we do that? Move back to the code 8. Everything is inside the form, sorry. Yeah. Refresh sublist. So we start to get the information on the information where we clicked. If there is a sublist, we get the parent list item of the ref item. We select the previous one and we open it. So just, and we get the information of the previous one. So here we get the information of the parent list. Then we clear the sublist. We create a new one and we attach the new information. And to finish, we attach the new list created to the parent list. This is why it is important to get the ref reference of the parent list. Otherwise, you kill yourself the list where you are. Then the next demo. No, not this one. Sorry. Here, by default, sorry, it's a good demonstration. Here I have I display all information, and I can say, okay, I will search first at all by the nom _fr_fr, but I could say I will search also by continent. It will recalculate the list and display continent by continent, sublist, name, and so on. So it is more hierarchical. What I can do also is to search information like fr and like as we can see, we can move on the 8 references found what contains FR. But here, if you have a look, I have population, and I don't have population here. But now I would like to get the domain. So I'm not able to select continent and population because it is already used in the list. I would like to get the code. I would like to get the internet domain. And that's it. And now, if I click on the next one, all information selected are not listed on the country, but here. It's also a way for you to add information and let a user to select information that you would like to get. How do we do that? So we just change of 4. So 3 things: how to select here, how to add a new one, to select a new one and select and add a new property. So when you select a new one, we select a new column. So I get the tab property of the first element. All elements of my column has exactly the same content, same order, same kind of information. So just for me a way to work on the first element. And I push all information on a new collection. And I show you a pop-up menu based on this information provided by the first element of the collection all countries. And when you select it, I create a new form column. That's it. And I just display the new form column here. Then I update the hierarchical list using the call form on the current window. I clear it. I clear the hierarchical list, so that means I delete it. And then when it's finished, because it's call form will send a message, and the next one will be executed and at the end of the previous one. So I create a first message to my form and a second message. And the second message is I ask him to work form test, to execute form test, because here it is the reference of the dialog window, and here the method to execute. And form test contains already the method name to be executed. That's it. Add a new line. So new property to see. It's quite easy. Step and offset. So I will add steps. So it's the steps between two objects, and the offset is also to let me the place to use. So I duplicate 3 objects, which are this one. I duplicate text property 1. I duplicate select prop 1. And I duplicate prop 1. I push a new, on the property collection, I push an empty information. Then I will determine which one I use. So ID is the length of the properties. So if I have 3 lines, I will get 3. I will move from step by the number of properties minus 1, because this one doesn't have to move, so it is the reference. So if I have to move for the next one, the length here will be 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So I will switch from one step. So the next one will go down from one step on 21 pixels. I get information of the property 1, and I move the property $ID. Remember, just here to get the information of the ID. So when I use the command object duplicate, the new one would be 2, the next one will be 3, the next one will be 4, and so on. Same exactly for the other one. So it's easy. It's very easy to get the ID, and I will move vertically by the switch number of pixels calculated here. I repeat it for each element. Then now I have to move the plus button here. I move the plus button. I update the location, the position of the OK button. And now I change the size of my dialog. So just to show you again, each time I add, I increase the size of my dialog. Okay? Now, what it is important on this one, sorry, just to remove it, to be sure, I don't. On the form method, it changed a little bit. By default, I use the country, but we can work on French department, French city, or French hotels. French, if we want to make a test with the 2, just call it again. So there is a French department. Different name. On the city, French city. So you will see French city, there is something like 36,000 city in France. So here he is working on all of them, and until he didn't finish to work, we get the information processing. So, and we got a lot of information. So it's a lot data. So we have something like 15 fields for each of the 36,700 data. Little bit far. So you can use the timer, which helps you to get a better interface. You will see we got processing data immediately. We don't have a lag time between dialog displaying, processing data, but at the end of the day you have to wait the reading of the file. So now what we can do is just to get information about the country data. You see, you can use call form. So It's a way to request by message to the form to work, and when it's finished, to get the information back. I use a lot this. It's a very interesting way to work. And at the end, you can kill your worker, because I use a worker for this one, which is, let me here, start 10, sorry. If counter parameter is null, I call a worker and myself. So I create a specific process on which one I will use the demo LH2. And to finish the example, this one is a mix all of them. So you will see it work a lot. So it's a worker. So it's a mix where you will get all information. And when you click, it will just show you the path where you are. So I am on letter C, Cabanach and Vilgren, Vil underscore non real, and so on. So just a way to you to get and display information where you are during your execution. I add an extra LH based. It's a bundle of information. You can use information from the menu, current menu, so it's the menu. It's a way also to work and to understand what are. So you get information, the text, the reference, there is a sublist, it is open or not. If I click here, I can see all information. I get the name and the path, that means. The number of displayed item, 20, but my items on the hierarchical list is 30. I can add, for example, a new item, test XYZ. I will add before, and it will be in bold, and insert. So I update my list, hierarchical list. I don't change the menu. I can load, for example, countries, which are exactly the same, and you can play with that. And I update some information, and I put you the code also for the to have an export in XML of your hierarchical list. So I got an error. Nice. Here that you can read with brackets, for example. You get the file here with some information of your hierarchical list. So you see sublist, name, and so on and so on, with item count, item reference, enterable, style, and so on. So this is the end of my demonstration. If you want to get information, you can contact me to this mail address or by mail. Just for information, we plan initially to make a special discount for QS Toolbox for the Summit 2020, and we will continue to apply it to until not April but June. I will just change it, June 2020. We will apply it. The next release will be delivered soon. I hope you found value to see this session, and see you next time.